At age 9 years old, Elon Musk ran out of books. Not books in his house. Books in his entire neighborhood library. So he did what any reasonable 9-year-old would do. He started reading the encyclopedia, cover to cover. By the time he was 12, he had taught himself computer programming from a textbook, built a video game, and sold it to a tech magazine for real money. Nobody taught him this. No tutor. No class. No mentor. Just books. And that habit, that obsessive, borderline compulsive relationship with reading, never stopped. It scaled with him. From a kid in Pretoria to the man building colonies on Mars. But here's the thing that makes Elon Musk's reading list different from every other CEO book recommendation list out there. Most successful people read books about business, about leadership, about habits and productivity. Musk reads books about civilizations, about physics, about the nature of intelligence itself, about how humanity might survive the next 1,000 years. He doesn't read to get better at his job. He reads to expand what he believes is possible. And when you look at the books that shaped him, the ones he's credited publicly with changing how he thinks, a pattern emerges that explains almost everything about why he does what he does. Today we're going through Elon Musk's most recommended books. And for each one, I'll tell you exactly what idea Musk took from it, and why it matters for the way you think. Let's get into it. Book 10, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Starting at number 10. And this one might surprise you, because it's a comedy novel. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Musk has referenced this book multiple times as genuinely influential on his thinking. And when you understand why, it reframes everything about how he approaches the biggest problems in the world. The book follows a regular guy named Arthur Dent who gets swept up in an absurd adventure across the universe. After Earth is demolished to make way for a hyperspace bypass. The famous punchline of the story? A supercomputer is built to answer the ultimate question, the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. After millions of years of calculation, it produces the answer. 42. Nobody knows what the question actually was. But here's the thing Musk pulled from this. Adams was making a philosophical point. The hardest part of solving any problem isn't finding the answer. It's figuring out the right question to ask. Most people don't realize this, but almost every massive failure in business, science, and life comes not from a wrong answer, but from confidently solving the wrong problem. Musk has said this book helped shape his instinct for what he calls first principles thinking. The practice of stripping a problem down to its most fundamental truth instead of accepting the conventional framing. He applied it to rockets. Conventional wisdom said space travel was impossibly expensive. Musk didn't ask, "How do we make rockets cheaper?" He asked a more fundamental question: what are rockets actually made of? What does the raw material cost? The answer was a fraction of what the industry charged. And SpaceX was born. One comedy novel. One idea. One company that changed space exploration forever. Book 9, Benjamin Franklin, An American Life by Walter Isaacson. Number 9. And this is one of 2 biographies on Musk's list, which tells you something important about how he thinks about learning. Benjamin Franklin, An American Life by Walter Isaacson. Musk has said Franklin is one of his personal heroes. And once you understand why, it makes complete sense. Franklin wasn't born into wealth or privilege. He was the 15th child of a candle maker. He left school at 10. He was essentially self-taught. But here's the thing. Franklin became a world-class scientist, inventor, diplomat, writer, entrepreneur, and statesman. All in one lifetime. He invented bifocals and the lightning rod. He helped found a nation. He negotiated the alliance with France that won the American Revolution. Most people don't realize this, but what Musk took from Franklin wasn't any single idea. It was the model. The model of a person who refuses to be defined by one discipline, who sees everything as connected, who attacks problems from whatever angle works, physics, politics, writing, business, without caring about the label on the door. This is where it gets interesting. In an era where everyone is told to specialize, to niche down, to pick one thing, Musk built Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, and the boring companies simultaneously. That's not distraction. That's a Franklin-level refusal to accept that one human mind can only do one thing. Franklin proved it was possible. Musk decided to prove it again. Book 8, Einstein, His Life and Universe by Walter Isaacson. Number 8. The second Isaacson biography on Musk's list. Einstein, His Life and Universe. And here's what I find fascinating about Musk recommending this one alongside the Franklin biography. On the surface, Franklin and Einstein couldn't be more different. Franklin was a practical, political, entrepreneurial genius. Einstein was a theoretical, solitary, almost otherworldly thinker. But here's the problem with how most people think about Einstein. They've turned him into a myth. A once-in-a-millennium freak of nature who was just cosmically smarter than other humans. Isaacson's biography tears that myth apart. Einstein failed his university entrance exam. He was considered a mediocre student by most of his professors. He couldn't get an academic job and worked as a patent clerk for years. And it was during those quiet years in the patent office, when he had nothing but time and his own mind, that he developed the special theory of relativity. This is where it gets interesting. Musk has talked about Einstein's thinking style as a specific inspiration. Einstein had a practice he called thought experiments, sitting with a physical idea so vividly in his imagination that he could mentally run experiments that no physical laboratory could yet perform. He literally imagined riding alongside a beam of light. And from that thought experiment, that act of pure imagination, came a revolution in how humanity understood the universe. Most people don't realize this, but Musk uses a version of this same process. He sits with engineering problems at a fundamental level, not, can we build this? But, does the physics allow for this? And works backward from what's theoretically possible. It's Einstein's thought experiment method applied to rockets and electric cars. Book 7, Superintelligence by Nick Bostrom. Number 7. And this is the one that reportedly kept Elon Musk up at night. Superintelligence by Nick Bostrom. Musk has publicly called this book worth reading, with a level of urgency that doesn't sound like a casual recommendation. He's compared the development of artificial intelligence, based partly on ideas in this book, to summoning the demon. So what does it actually say? Bostrom makes a central argument. If artificial intelligence ever surpasses human intelligence, even slightly, the speed at which it continues to improve becomes essentially uncontrollable. Because a superintelligent system would be better at improving itself than we are at improving it. But here's the thing that makes this terrifying. The problem isn't a malevolent AI that wants to destroy humanity. It's something far more mundane and far more dangerous. An AI given any goal, even something completely benign, might pursue that goal in ways that are catastrophic for humans as a side effect. The classic thought experiment, an AI told to manufacture as many paper clips as possible might, rationally, conclude that converting all available matter, including humans, into paper clips is the optimal path. Not because it's evil, because it's following its instructions with perfect, ruthless efficiency. Most people don't realize this, but this book is a significant reason Musk co-founded OpenAI, and later his own AI company xAI. Not to build AI faster, but to try to ensure that when it arrives safely. One book. One idea. Billions of dollars redirected into AI safety research. Book 6, 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. Number 6. Written by Musk's fellow PayPal co-founder, and one of his closest intellectual sparring partners. 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. We covered this in our Billionaire Books episode. But it earns a dedicated spot here because the relationship between Musk and Thiel adds a layer to this book that you don't get anywhere else. These two men built PayPal together, and then went on to build two of the most consequential companies of the 21st century in completely different directions. Thiel went into finance and venture capital. Musk went into rockets and electric cars. But here's what Thiel argues in 0 to 1 that Musk has publicly aligned with. The world doesn't need more competition. It needs more creation. Going from 0 to 1, creating something genuinely new, is infinitely harder and infinitely more valuable than going from one to many. Copying what already works doesn't change the world. But here's the problem with how most people apply this. They hear, create something new, and think it means invention, new technology, a new app, a new product. This is where it gets interesting. Thiel means something deeper. He means new thinking, a new framework, a contrarian belief that turns out to be true. Musk's contrarian belief? That humanity becoming a multiplanetary species is not science fiction, it's a practical engineering problem. And that the economics of space travel could be revolutionized the same way the economics of any other manufacturing industry could be. Nobody believed that in 2002 when he started SpaceX. Most people don't realize this. But 0 to 1 isn't really a business book. It's a book about the courage it takes to believe something is possible before anyone else does. Musk lives that idea every single day. Book 5. The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert Heinlein. Number 5. And here's where Musk's reading list gets genuinely fascinating, because this is science fiction. The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert Heinlein. And not just any science fiction. This book, published in 1966, is about a lunar colony that revolts against Earth's government. It's a story about freedom, self-governance, and the political philosophy of a society built from scratch. But here's the thing. Musk doesn't read science fiction the way most people do. He doesn't read it for entertainment. He reads it as engineering specification. He has said that science fiction writers, Heinlein, Isaac Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, didn't just imagine the future. They described it in enough practical detail that people like him could use their visions as a blueprint. Most people don't realize this, but almost every major technology in your life right now was described in science fiction decades before it existed. Smartphones, the internet, video calls, artificial intelligence, space stations. The writers weren't guessing. They were reasoning forward from physics and human nature, and arriving at inevitable destinations. This is where it gets interesting. Musk's plan for Mars isn't inspired by NASA reports or government roadmaps. It's inspired, at least in part, by the world's science fiction writers built in their minds and described on paper. He treats those books the way an architect treats a sketch, as a starting point to work backward from. Most people read fiction to escape reality. Musk reads it to define reality. Book 4, Foundation by Isaac Asimov. Number 4. And if there is one book that comes closest to explaining the why behind everything Elon Musk is building, it's this one. Foundation by Isaac Asimov. Musk has said this series had a profound impact on him as a teenager. And when you read it alongside his actual career, the overlap is almost eerie. Here's the premise. A mathematician named Hari Seldon develops a science called psychohistory the ability to predict the broad strokes of humanity's future using mathematics and the patterns of human behavior. He foresees that the galactic empire is going to collapse, and that a dark age lasting 30,000 years will follow. He can't stop the collapse. It's too far along. But he believes he can shorten the dark age from 30,000 years to just 1,000 if he acts now, with the right plan, in the right places. So he creates the foundation, a repository of all human knowledge and civilization, a seed of recovery, positioned to survive the collapse and rebuild faster. But here's the thing this story is really about. It's about a person who looks far enough ahead, further than any individual lifetime, and asks, what can I do today to protect the future of our species? Most people don't realize this, but this is not a story Musk just admires. It's a story he is actively trying to live. SpaceX's stated mission is to make humanity multiplanetary, specifically to ensure that if something catastrophic happens to Earth, human civilization survives somewhere else. That's not a business objective. That's Hari Seldon's plan applied to real life. Musk has essentially said as much in interviews. This is where it gets almost philosophical. Most people build companies to make money, or to solve a current problem, or to leave a legacy. Musk is building a backup for the entire human species. And that ambition, that terrifying, audacious, arguably insane level of ambition, started with a teenager reading a science fiction novel. Book 3, Howard Hughes, His Life and Madness by Donald L. Bartlett and James B. Steele. Number 3. And this is the most cautionary tale on Musk's entire reading list. Howard Hughes, His Life and Madness. Howard Hughes was the Elon Musk of the 20th century. Aviation pioneer, film producer, businessman, innovator. At his peak, one of the most famous and powerful men in America. And then everything collapsed. Hughes developed severe OCD, paranoia, phobias so debilitating he eventually became a recluse, locked in a darkened hotel room, wearing tissue boxes on his feet, refusing to see anyone, letting his empire slowly crumble around him while the outside world waited. But here's the brutal truth this book carries for anyone with Musk's level of ambition. Hughes and Musk are not that different. Both are deeply technical. Both have been called impossible to work for. Both push the limits of what their teams and their own minds can sustain. The difference is, Musk read this book. Most people don't realize this. But the most dangerous thing about extraordinary ambition isn't failure. It's losing yourself in the pursuit. Hughes had no foundation, no philosophy, no book that told him, build something that outlasts your worst days. Build systems that work even when you don't. This is where it gets interesting and deeply personal for Musk. He has spoken about reading this biography as a kind of warning. A reminder that genius without self-awareness is a countdown timer. The man who wants to save humanity has to first survive being human himself. That's not a small thing. And this book makes sure he doesn't forget it. Book 2, Structures, or Why Things Don't Fall Down by J. E. Gordon. Number 2. And this is the most unexpected book on Musk's entire list. Structures, or Why Things Don't Fall Down by J. E. Gordon. Not a business book. Not a biography. Not science fiction. It's a structural engineering textbook. And Musk recommended it as one of the best books he's ever read. Specifically for anyone who wants to understand how physical things are built. But here's the thing. Musk didn't study aerospace engineering. He didn't have a background in rockets or electric vehicle design when he started those companies. So how did he walk into SpaceX engineering meetings and hold his own, actually lead, against people who had spent their entire careers in aerospace? This is where it gets fascinating. He read voraciously, specifically, deliberately. He once described his approach to learning as treating knowledge like a semantic tree, making sure you understand the fundamental principles before the details. Because if you understand why things fall down, you can reason about any structure, bridges, rockets, car chassis, buildings, from first principles. Gordon's book gave him that foundation for physical engineering the same way physics textbooks gave him the foundation for space travel. Most people don't realize this, but Musk's superpower isn't that he's a genius. It's that he is a relentlessly systematic self-educator. He identified the gaps in his own knowledge, found the books that could close them, and read them with the focus of someone who knows that what they're about to learn will be used in the real world, soon. That's not casual reading. That's deliberate construction of a mind. Book 1, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. No. The real number 1. Okay. Number 1. The book that, more than any other, Musk has returned to, referenced, and credited with shaping his most fundamental worldview. The Foundation series by Isaac Asimov, specifically as a complete body of work. I already gave Foundation its own segment at number 4. But here's why it also deserves the number 1 spot. Because every other book on this list is about how to think, how to build, how to lead, how to survive. Foundation is about why. Why does any of it matter? Why build rockets? Why electrify cars? Why dig tunnels? Why connect human brains to computers? Musk's answer, stated plainly in dozens of interviews, is that he believes humanity is at a critical juncture. That the decisions made in the next few decades about energy, AI, and space will determine whether civilization continues to advance or begins to decline. He didn't come to that belief through a business school case study. He came to it through a science fiction novel he read as a teenager in South Africa, alone, bookish, bullied, looking for a reason that the future was worth caring about. Most people don't realize this, but the most powerful ideas in history didn't start in boardrooms or laboratories. They started in someone's imagination, on the page, in a story. Asimov gave a lonely kid in Pretoria a vision of a future worth building. And that kid decided to build it. Let's land this. 10 books. 1 reading list. The mind that built SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink, and a plan to put humans on Mars. And here's the pattern I want you to walk away with. Elon Musk doesn't read to be inspired. He doesn't read to feel motivated. He doesn't read to check a box. He reads to build a mental model of reality that is more accurate, more complete, and more far-reaching than the one most people are operating with. He reads physics so he can reason from first principles. He reads biographies so he can learn from lives that have already played out. He reads science fiction so he can see further than the present moment allows. He reads engineering so he can stress test his own ideas. He reads philosophy, through Asimov and Heinlein, so he knows why any of it is worth doing. That's not a reading habit. That's a system for becoming someone capable of changing the world. And here's the thing about that system. It's available to you. Right now. For the price of a library card. The books are the same. The ideas are the same. The only question is whether you're willing to read them the way Musk reads them. Not passively, not for entertainment, but as raw material for building a better version of how you understand everything. Because that's what he did. Starting at age 9. With an encyclopedia. What are you waiting for? Which of these books are you adding to your reading list first? Drop it in the comments. And if you're already a Musk reader, tell me the one book from his list that hit you hardest and why. If you want more reading lists like this, breaking down exactly what the world's most influential people are reading and why it matters, subscribe. We do this every week. Links to full breakdowns of several of these books are in the description below. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.